Just about an hour ago, President Trump declaring the Strait of Hormuz is open, despite Iran saying it is closed.
Yeah, the announcement comes on the heels of the U.S. and Iran trading military strikes. Joining us now is UCLA political science professor Benjamin Radd. Thank you so much for being with us this morning.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
And there's so many developments that it's great that you're here. Just in the last hour, President Trump announcing about the strait being open and that the U.S. will begin charging this fee to escort ships through the strait. What is going on here?
So this is now escalating to a new level, or at least taking a several step backwards. The president has said that the United States is going to reinstitute the blockade, which is the last thing Iran wanted. And secondly, there's going to be a 20% fee, which the U.S. is charging as sort of a protection service for ships passing through, because he believes that it's vital for all these countries that are benefiting from it to have access, and the U.S. should be compensated for that.
It's almost back to the tariff conversation.
Right.
It's even beyond that, because now this is definitely, a blockade is an act of war. Granted, we're in a war anyway, but it's definitely escalating.
So that's along those lines. The U.S. has carried out another round of strikes, reportedly beyond the areas bordering the Strait of Hormuz. Can you talk a little bit about what's going on here?
Well, it's demonstrating that the president is taking this sort of broadly, the idea being that he's really trying to send a message to Iran that they need to submit on this one issue of the Strait of Hormuz being opened, and that Iran has failed to do so given the limited strike. So the president is now expanding these targets into parts not just related to the coastal protection areas that Iran has satellites and rockets and defense capabilities, but really into more central parts of the country.
Sure. And Iran, of course, is not accepting that. They've been doing retaliatory strikes. Talk about their response and what happened to the ceasefire.
Yeah, ceasefire was a name only. The Iranian response is to U.S. military bases and U.S. assets in the region. What's been notable is we have not seen Israel brought into this. I think the president has asked Prime Minister Netanyahu to refrain from getting involved, and likewise the Iranians have not targeted the Israelis either. So long as sort of that stays quiet and the Lebanese border remains relatively quiet, this could be much worse.
Okay. You know, we've been going through this now since March. People get a little bit of information fatigue, I think. Can you kind of take us into why we should be paying attention right now?
We should be paying attention because, number one, the Iranian regime has stated that it is now making it a goal to seek revenge for the killing of its supreme leader. There were intelligence reports that they were attempting to compromise President Trump's new Air Force One jet last weekend at the NATO summit. So basically, this is saying now we're at a different level than we were before. The Iranians feel emboldened. They also feel desperate, given that they can't sustain this either. And so the longer this goes on, the more desperate one side or the other becomes, the more likely something, I think, definitely escalatory and less rational is bound to happen, which is really bad for everyone. The goal is to keep this war confined to what it's been, not to what it has not yet become, which is something much broader and more regional, and keeping U.S. boots out of Iran.
Absolutely. Is de-escalation, what would need to happen at this point? Because it seems the U.S. is not backing down, Iran is not backing down. What would happen for this to de-escalate?
To de-escalate would be somebody has to back down from a red line. From the United States, it's the position that Iran cannot have any control over the Strait of Hormuz. Iran needs to accept what the status quo was before the war started. That's the president's position. That would be the first and significant de-escalatory move.
Okay. Is it realistic that we could forge a path here back to peace?
Not anytime soon. I just don't see it right now. I think the tensions are too high, and I think the desperation on the Iranian side is too intense.
Well, there is a lot happening, and it's been happening for a while, so we always appreciate you coming in to bring it all together. Ben, thank you.